Hey guys, welcome to No Man's Land, or a podcast about No Man's Land. Metaphorically, you could say this is No Man's Land. This is the podcast where we talk about No Man's Land. My name is Vincent, and I'm joined by.
I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
So today, this is Cataclysm Part 2. We still got a third part. It's kind of like it's an overarching story, as we'll get into. It's not like it's like this happens and this happens.
We are 2/3 of the way through the book, though.
It's not like this happens and this happens because really nothing's happening so far. But we'll talk about it, I guess.
So the first thing, we could have mentioned this on a previous episode, but I learned it in some back matter of this episode. The Cataclysm banner on the side of the books, where it's kind of just like, it looks like it's just a sketchy, like, red ballpoint pen rubble explosion or something. It was designed by Dave Taylor, who artist, illustrator, whatever. We'll get a better banner when we get into actual No Man's Land. So the first issue today is Catwoman 56, written by Devin Grayson, who I think we've mentioned. Devin Grayson will eventually go on to write Gotham Knights, an actual Batman title, like a year or two from now. But she's writing Catwoman, and the artist is Jim Balent. And Jim Balent has basically drawn every single issue of this run, minus some fill-ins. So 56 issues, again, minus some fill-ins. Pretty impressive. And we're going to keep seeing him basically through the entire podcast on this title. This is the first ongoing series for Catwoman. She had one miniseries before this, and she had some solo stories in Action Comics Weekly, probably had some solo backup stories in like Batman Family at some point. And this is her infamous 90s costume. And I feel like it's worth discussing that quickly before we get into the actual stuff. What do you guys think of this costume and / general design for the character?
I don't like it.
I don't like the long hair. I prefer short hair Catwoman.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of really any aspect of it. But like, I don't know.
I mean,
I've seen it before. It's an iconic Catwoman look. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to take, I would take. Well, my favorite Catwoman suit's Darwin's, so Darwin Cooks is at the top, and then I would rather have the animated series look, and then maybe Michelle Pfeiffer, then this. So
is this better or worse than Dark Knight Rises?
It's better.
Better because it has a mask.
Okay.
I love this costume.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, it's a slinky, sleuthy, anti-hero Catwoman.
And well, she wasn't. Her mind wasn't wiped again for her to be a bad guy again yet.
That's kind of a question I was going to ask eventually, and I guess I might as well do it now. Is she an anti-hero? What's her moral stance right now?
She's not completely aligned with Batman, but she's not a bad guy anymore.
So, like Black Cat? She's Black Cat?
Yeah, but predates her by like 30 years, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially, she's just a thief and she's up to no good. But if some little kid gets shot, and not to tease the basic gist of the story, if some little kid gets shot during the heist, she's going to save the little kid.
Right.
And not always the extreme situations like that, but she'll act heroic, but she's just in it for the cash.
Okay.
So on that note, so this is Balent, and this is his style. He designed this costume. He's going to draw basically this entire ongoing series, which I believe to this day is the longest running Catwoman ongoing series. I'm not actually sure. I think it's only slightly longer than the next volume, which starts by Brubaker. but this runs and occasionally dovetails in and out of Batman crossovers. Obviously, No Man's Land and Cataclysm, which we're covering here. And Balint, after this, goes on to, and probably alongside it at some point, goes on to create a character, I want to say called Tarot, but it may be Tarot because, tarot cards.
Yeah.
But I don't really understand the character of Tarot, but it's basically a porn comic to my knowledge. It's like super cheesecakey, very indie, self-published, and he's been doing that to this day, and has a super niche, small, passionate fan base for that content.
I bet they're passionate.
Yes. So Selina, she's in Gotham. She's stealing special binoculars. It's almost like kind of remind me of some ruby quartz because it's some kind of special red lens, and it's broad daylight. And she needs the binoculars so that she can steal a rare coin collection later. But she's doing it in broad daylight while everyone is in this like mall complex just for the thrill of it. Because she's a thief and she just gets off on it not being a perfect plan.
Well, not broad daylight. I mean, it's evening. Like it's like 7 o'clock at night.
But everyone's around. It's not like she's sneaking in and breaking stuff. She's just like there. And she's slinking around and in an elevator shaft. She gets binoculars and she's in an elevator shaft when the earthquake hits. And she's very fortunate she was at least above the elevator.
Yeah.
Because if she was below the elevator, she would be fucked. She would die in this issue. But she crawls, and also back to Balint. I think really the only panel where it's like, okay, this is really gratuitous is it's the moment that the earthquake hits. She does this weird like legs spread and up pose.
Right, the porn pose.
Yeah. But otherwise, for the most part, besides the fact that she is in a super form-fitting costume with a curvy body, I didn't find and I'm saying this as someone who likes this stuff. I found, well, not really defending it, but I'm saying
as someone who likes smut, I liked this smut.
I'm saying I found it. I was surprised. It was way less exploitative than I was expecting based on the reputation of this run.
I can agree with that.
And even in comparison to some of the other stuff of this era that we've read, some of the Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
But she crawls through the rubble and she ends up next to a child with just like some rebar or some rubble just sticking through their chest. And the child also explains that they have a loose tooth, which is like this fun. It's like a comic moment, but it's also like underlining how fucked up this situation is.
Yeah.
And this was the other part where, at least initially, where the art suffered for me. In the first several panels, this child looks like an inanimate doll to me.
It does.
It's not great.
And there's a cop or security guard there as well. And despite everyone in ruin, this little girl bleeding out next to him, the cop is like, hey, weird looking chick in a mask, let me pull my gun. Which, I mean, I don't necessarily fault him for. And
I mean, he thinks she bombed the building for literally no reason other than she's in a mask, I guess, but whatever.
Catwoman, Gotham, you've definitely heard about her, so, I mean.
Selina tries to help the girl and kind of talks her through it, and the girl's like, hey, you look like a cat, blah, blah. So they start talking about cats, and we learn the important note that Selina has 19 cats. And I went to a school with a kid. Yeah, I went to school with a kid whose mom was like a crazy cat lady, and I think their peak was like 27. But basically, through dramatic pages, the girl ends up bleeding out. And
right after asking if there's a god.
Yeah, she dies. It's fucked up. Catwoman is like
God is Tooth Fairy now, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, the acted as a Tooth Fairy, but like,
no, we all got it.
But Michael.
No, we got it.
And Catwoman's like, "Oh well, the girl died. Let me just get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
So she finally escapes the building, pulls out her ruby quartz binoculars, and sees that Gotham is in ruins. And so she's like, "Well, what the fuck else am I gonna do?" So she goes back to help everyone out with the police officer, and she saves everyone here, and then is perching on something, the classic Gotham vigilante pose, and basically just cries seeing Gotham in ruins. And it's kind of like what you see with a lot of superheroes, the idea of the relationship with the city. And so she decides, even though this is kind of the general status quo for this ongoing in general, but she basically decides, I'm going to be a vigilante for a bit and help people out because there's not a ton else to do. I enjoyed the issue. I think this might be my favorite issue of this week.
I think this is my favorite issue as well. I felt like this had a story to tell, and a lot of the other issues really didn't. So
Well, speaking of not much story to tell, Robin 52. We only read like what 4 pages of this, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
4 pages.
Because as we established in last episode, Tim Drake was away at boarding school in Europe, so he was not in Gotham when the earthquake hit, but he's on his way back now to go visit his dad, and he's on the plane that gets rerouted, and he's wondering, well, the sky's fine, there's no sign of snow or like thunderstorms, why are we rerouted? And then he looks out the window and sees, oh crap, Gotham is on fire. The end.
Yeah.
This would be the time to ask Matt, what do you think of Tim Drake? But it's 4 pages and he's not even in costume. So
Yeah,
we're going to save that for when Robin shows up a little later.
That's fine. That's fair.
Chuck Dixon is writing the Robin book. This is our first Robin issue, kind of technically. And art at this point in the series, and I think he's the ongoing artist, is Staj Johnson. I thought the final page, again, like a lot of these artists, pretty haunting final page.
All the city destructions are done very well.
Yeah, looking down on the rubble and everything on fire.
They are. I don't think it has the impact anymore because every issue ends like that, but it definitely is very good art.
But I guess pushing on, I'm guessing this was just a one-shot.
Yeah.
Batman Black 8, Isle of Men, #1. It's a one-shot. We got Doug Monk and Jim Aparo on this. It's a one-shot chronicling what's going on at Blackgate Penitentiary.
Guys, I hated this issue.
I liked it.
I really hated this.
I liked it.
Why? Why did you hate this?
Oh my god, KJ Beast is so annoying.
Yeah, he is.
Awesome.
No human being talks like that, no matter where they're from, what accent they have. No human being talks like KG Beast. That is so obnoxious. I hate it.
Well, technically, KGB should be dead because after 10 Nights of the Beast, Batman kind of locked him in a room and sealed it up with bricks for him not to be able to get out.
Well, that happened to Beast, too. He got out.
What?
Dark Beast sealed Beast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm assuming my headcanon on that is he sealed him up and then like came back 3 days later just to let him out.
Maybe that happened to Beast.
Yeah. But this is all signaling on, I mean, he's named, but he's this nameless kind of henchman that's trapped in Blackgate.
Jerry
who's going on
nobody.
What was his name? Mans or something? M-A-N-Z?
Manx.
I don't even care.
Manx. Doesn't matter because we're never going to see him again. The point of the story being is that he's a man on death row who claims that he's innocent, and at 12:01 tonight he's going to die. I do like the establishment of Blackgate Penitentiary, of how the death row is the lowest. It's the lowest quadrant built in, so they have the distinction of being the closest to hell. I liked that. I thought that was kind of cool. But we also get to see other villains in here. We get to see Thomas Blake, Catman, Johnny LaMonica, the Black Spider, Arthur Brown, Clue Master, which will be fun. Because Matt, do you know who Cluemaster's daughter is?
The Riddler.
No, it's spoiler. Stephanie Brown.
Oh, okay.
Another character you don't know.
I don't know how I would never get that. I don't know who that is.
Faceless is here and Steel Jacket, and he's just like a zombie Bugman. But yeah, the earthquake hits, and the guy who's maintaining his innocence is like, "Well, we gotta get this shit out of here because water's rushing in," and kind of some haunting scenes of just like, yeah, some of these cells aren't gonna open, so these guys are just gonna drown in here. The guards don't know what to do as Blackgate Penitentiary's its own island off the coast of Gotham, and the inmates are literally start running the jail. KG Beast is going around just killing everyone because he's KG Beast, and that's his one thing is that he kills people. But eventually, one of the guards gets a distress call out to Oracle, and Batman's able to hear it, and Batman shows up and kind of saves the day. But also the thug that we met at the beginning, he reveals that no, he did kill all those people, and he's gonna do one good thing before he dies. Okay,
Yeah,
the
who
end.
cares?
I thought this was fine though. I like that we got to Blackgate and saw what was going on with at least some villains. Obviously, this isn't Arkham, which is where all the big names go. But I enjoy seeing the more forgotten villains like KG Beast and Clue Master.
Yeah,
So we're checking on them.
a lot of the issues we've been reading so far in Cataclysm is like, here's how this person is dealing with the earthquake. Here's what this person is doing with the earthquake. And a number of the issues that we read for today is here's how a bunch of nobodies deal with the earthquake. And I don't care about it. I don't care about the guy they just made up for in this Blackgate issue who may have killed people, but he said he didn't or whatever. And he's put to the crux of the story. And I just don't care. On top of that, he's annoying, and I hate him.
I think the biggest case of like looking at when we were doing Clone Saga to look at was that we were with the same character for basically every book. So I think that was I felt like Clone Saga got a little monotonous that way. I do like the fact that we get broken up, so we do get to see Catwoman, we do get to see Batman, we do get to see Nightwing. So cool. I'm not totally like hating this stuff, but yeah, it is very one note. Here's what happened at this clock tower during this earthquake.
And like I would be fine with that. I would be fine with that, but like this issue and the one I'm about to talk about is mostly about like a bunch of nothing.
No, yeah.
I liked the morality play of Jared Manx. I found it interesting. The only thing is though,
like we've seen that story before. That's the thing.
Thing is,
what's
I
the
don't think
morality play here? What's the moral choice to kill people or not kill people? I mean, come on.
No, because he's maintained his innocence the entire time and is saving people and acting honorable. And in the end, he's like, "Yeah, I fucking murdered people." But the thing is, I don't think it actually like this twist. I don't think it actually works out because in the end, when he reveals the twist, is he says, "Oh, and by the way, those two girls I killed, they were my daughters." But it's like,
yeah,
that would be super obvious, and your lawyer would know that. It's not like you would kill your daughters, and that wouldn't be the main.
This lawyer he had was no Matt Murdock, clearly.
Yeah. And also, again, similar to, I mean, we've seen Anarchy, and we've seen Catwoman, obviously, in a solo issue. You see the gradation of the villains. So KG Beast is just insane, trying to go around murdering people, no matter who they are. But then Catman kind of is like, "Hey, I'm gonna toy with this guy and save these random people." I don't know.
And you know what? Maybe I'd be more interested. Like the concept of like this prison is like basically sinking, and also KG Beast is on here and he's killing people, and both those disasters go at the same time. That is interesting, but I don't care about the main character. Why can't KG Beast be written in a way that makes any sense? He can still have the Russian thing and not talk like a moron. Nobody talks like that. What, like, This is
To be
like
fair,
the Claremont
doesn't
accents.
talk much. He just kind of shoots you in the head when you're not looking.
He talked way too much in this book.
I will say KGB did talk. Did you like how he only has one hand though?
There's Claremont accents, and there's whatever the hell that was supposed to be. I just if Colossus talked like that, I would not be able to get through X-Men.
Would be better, is what you're saying.
No. Is
Do
that
you
all
like Blackgate Penitentiary, or were you aware of it at all before this?
It's like what? It's like the Raft.
No, there's two. Arkham Asylum is a home for the criminally insane, while Blackgate is more of a jail.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I had one more note on Blackgate. So the comic tells us that Blackgate has just over 2,000 prisoners. And, Gotham City, huge metropolitan city, the largest prison in the United States today is LA County Jail, which has 10 times the number of prisoners as Blackgate.
Okay.
So you'd think that, also that's a difference of, 20 years of criminal justice and population size and everything like that.
Well, Blackgate's going to have to get rebuilt, and I'm sure it'll be built much better.
Yeah, you think that Gotham's prison would have like a fuckload of people.
Also, wait, earlier I went out of the way to say that Bruce Wayne specifically made buildings to be earthquake proof. He didn't do it at the Blackgate, I guess.
He didn't build
He doesn't own it. He only proofs buildings he owns.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of makes sense, huh? Okay. So do you want to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about Shadow of the Bat.
I do want to say, Matt, I'm going to let you start on this, but I guess my one thing I forgot. There's going to be a time discrepancy here. I caught it. So the last issue ended at 12:01. I'm sorry, which was 1 minute past midnight. So that's where the guy died, which was his scheduled time to be put to death by lethal injection. Right. Shadow of the Bat opens up at 10 p.m.
Yes.
And it's right after Batman's done doing the stuff at Blackgate.
Yes, and I was going to ask about that. So this is after Blackgate.
Yep, this is just bad managing through editorial, I'm guessing.
Okay, because I was also mildly confused on that and assumed that somebody just messed stuff up. Or I was wrong. So Shadow of the Bat, 74. This is written by Alan Grant and penciled by Mark Buckingham. And unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I'm familiar with either of those names.
We saw Buckingham on the last episodes. No, his style looks very different from the very first time we saw it.
Yeah, and Grant, British invasion guy, has been writing Batman for a decade, and is the ongoing Shadow of the Bat writer.
Yeah, Grant had a long stint on Detective Comics with Norm Brayfogle before this too.
Yeah, and we talked. I think this is our first Shadow of the Bat issue, maybe, but we talked about him because he created Anarchy and he wrote that issue.
Okay. Okay. So this issue starts with Batman looking at all the destruction and making the exact same face for 2 pages, which is a face that also shows up later in the book, and it looks bad. And then he goes and looks at the Dockside Cafe, which is all destroyed. Tim Drake arrives, and he steals the motorcycle, which I guess is kind of cool.
I like how he writes an IOU, but signs it as Tim Drake. He doesn't sign it as Robin.
Right? Is his identity public?
No, he has a secret identity, very much so. Because
you know what? His dad
not like he's very kind of always trying to hide it from his dad because he knows his dad will freak out if he finds out he's Robin.
Right. So Batman gives some painkillers to some survivors, which is, I don't know. I thought that was kind of sweet. I don't know how much 4 pills is going to help, but I thought it was kind of sweet. And then a lot of this, actually not much I thought it was. There's this whole thing where he saves homeless people from the cafe, and they have this whole little back and forth about how everyone's going to be homeless now, which was fine. And we check back in with what's her face from the very, very beginning, the earthquake expert,
Jolene
Relazzo.
Right, Relazzo. Batman makes an agreement with Oswald Cobblepot. Wait,
The
that's his name,
Penguin.
right?
Yes.
The Penguin. I thought it was cool to see the Penguin. I like the Penguin. I don't know
Big
too much
proper
about.
villain we've seen.
I mean, he's the first. Yeah, they're like the first big name villain. I like that okay. If Penguin gets arrested, he does not go to Arkham, right? Like Penguin is not
He'd go to
insane.
Blackgate.
Okay.
Or he'd either go to Blackgate or he'd pay his lawyers to say that he's insane to go to Arkham and get pampered in Arkham. One of the two.
He's definitely he's basically Kingpin with a bird stick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of like that. I'm personally not someone into characters who are just insane for the sake of it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Joker, so Penguin really appeals to me because he seems to at least have some sort of motivation. And then the issue ends with the Mole Man taking credit for the earthquake.
The Quake Master.
Quake Master, who looks like the Mole Man. Not so much in this issue, but in the end of Nightwing, and when
Any
he's black and
idea
white.
on who you think it's going to be?
I just told you, it's the Mole Man.
From the DC universe.
Yeah, DC Mole Man.
It can't be DC Mole Man because Danny DeVito's already the Penguin.
The Underminer.
There you go.
I don't know. Because like I honestly have no idea. I'm gonna go with what I said last week, and it's Bane.
Yeah, Quake Master. He has a ransom. He demands 100 million, which I feel like if you're claiming that
Not a lot, really.
if you're claiming that you just destroyed the equivalent of New York City with a earthquake machine, you can ask for a bit more.
Well, what's his?
Kind of an Austin Powers moment here, where we're just kind of laughing at him for asking for a comically low amount of money.
I mean, the thing is, like, his threat isn't even that his threat's like going to burn the rest of Gotham down. Couldn't he just take the machine somewhere else and do the same thing elsewhere? Like, just threaten different cities? Gotham's already a mess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Um,
Regardless, I wasn't a huge fan of this issue either. It was fine.
I mean, where's he going to take it to? Bloodhaven? No one cares about that place other than Nightwing.
Go to Metropolis. Actually, no. Superman
That's the thing. Superman will show up here.
I'm excited for that. I do want to see Superman.
So,
yeah, Batman tells him to fly off.
we already talked about Buckingham's art, slightly different here than before and slightly inconsistent. I really love his cape, but
his cape looks good.
He has a lot of rough face shots of Batman.
Yeah, his face is bad. A lot of the faces in general are bad. Although I kind of liked how Penguin looked because, I don't know, Penguin's not a pretty man.
Also, Legs, who is the major named homeless character, he's a character of Anarchy, to my knowledge.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost all of his appearances besides this one are in either Anarchy solo issues or like the issues of Detective where Anarchy was showed up.
That's okay, fine.
So now we're moving into Batman Chronicles 12. This is a quarterly anthology in the vein of all the quarterly anthologies that happened in the 90s. At DC, you had Justice League quarterly, you had Green Lantern Corps quarterly, and Marvel called all theirs Unlimited. You had Spider-Man Unlimited, you had Midnight Suns Unlimited, Fantastic Four Unlimited, and
you just picked the Infinity War Spider-Man Unlimited.
What book is worse, Batman Chronicles or Spider-Man Unlimited? It's Spider-Man Unlimited.
I mean, they're about the same.
So, this is far and away better than any Spider-Man Unlimited issue I read because it was not one whole story for like 45 pages.
Man, I don't know.
So the standout issue of Chronicles is number 5, which is John Ostrander and Kim Yale's Oracle Year 1. And then number 11, the one directly before this, has Paul Pope's Berlin Batman story.
Okay.
And we will be reading 6 issues of Chronicles, which is 2 less than we did for Spider-Man. We read 8 Spider-Man Unlimited issues.
Don't like every other episode was an unlimited episode, and I wanted to die.
And these should be a lot better. And I'll let Matt take us into the first story.
So the first story, The Contract, which is Devin Grayson and Marcos Martin.
And actually, before Matt gets in the plot, this is Marcos Martin's first American pro credit ever.
Oh no.
All right, I'll take over because Matt dropped out. Conveniently, so he doesn't have to talk about Batman Chronicles. I wonder what that's all about. I do want to say, Vince, I think you'll agree, opened up with a very strong Batman splash page.
Yeah, that's all right.
They use that book as like a book ending, or like a separator page in the Cataclysm trade paperback. So
Okay.
they use it a lot in that book. But basically, the story is people are trapped underground, and all of these different gangsters, and thugs and mobsters, have all kind of banded together, due to receiving a note and a grant from a CEO. I wonder who it is. To go around and help use their supplies to help dig people out to save people. And basically, it's juxtaposed with the kid down below, dancing around saying, Batman's going to save us, Batman's going to save us. Eventually, they are saved by these guys, and the kid asks, well, were you saved by Batman? And the guy says yes. But before all this, all the thugs are like arguing with each other, and like they do kind of come around to like, no, we should be sticking to what this letter told us, and they're not going to go off and just do their own thing with the money received too. And then we realized that at the end, that why'd the guy lie and said that he was from Batman was that on the 8th page of the note, it's don't destroy people's hope or give them a reason to take it away. So the guy honors that, and we see it's from the desk of Bruce Wayne. So Batman is somehow had the time to write a letter and got it out to enough people to help to start basically funneling these kind of excavation teams around Gotham. But I'm assuming this is taking place like a couple weeks after the quake has hit.
Yeah, I like this story. The art was a little iffy. The coloring was very strange. And
I liked the lighting, or I guess the colors in the underground segments, because it made it feel very dark.
It did. I liked that as well. But I don't know. I wasn't invested in anyone.
the one mob character, his mob talk is like ridiculously over the top.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Which would be okay if he was like a named villain and that was his gimmick, but he's just supposed to be like gangster number one. Next story is House of Cards, which is written and drawn by Chris Renaud. Probably the former. And this is Ra's al Ghul. I know how to pronounce that one, Ra's al Ghul. He's watching it all, everything going down from halfway across the world. And it's just him talking bullshit for several pages.
He's just like, now Batman, you have nothing. Ha 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 ha. But we're probably not going to see Ra's al Ghul again, or at least I don't think we do. So, okay, great.
Yeah, well, his conclusion is, okay, Gotham has finally fallen. Batman no longer has responsibility for that. It's pointless. So he should come hang out with me and be my right-hand man. And we're going to take over the world now. The notable thing here is, who is Chris Renaud, the writer and artist of the story? For one, he's credited with coming up with the basic kernel of the Cataclysm story. But also, he created and directed Despicable Me.
Wow.
Yeah.
As well as Secret Life of Pets.
I love that. I can take this next short story because I dropped out of the other one.
Okay.
So this is called A Bird with a Hand, It's written and layouts are drawn by Rick Burchett, with finishes by Bill Sienkiewicz, which is cool. In this story, Oswald Cobblepot is back, and he is asking people what to do for a living and not saving them if they don't make much money. Which,
Well, no, it's only if they can benefit him.
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think is
Also, good continuity, but around between these last couple issues, Penguin is in the same white suit that Batman goes to talk to him in.
is he wearing anything other than white suits?
He's in a white, yeah, he's in a white suit when he talks to Batman in the Shadow of the Bat issue.
I don't know. I thought these like 3 pages was kind of delightful.
No, I thought I liked it.
Villain. I like that.
I would have preferred Rick Burchett be drawing all of it.
Sure.
So then we have Trapped by Chris Renaud and Alex Maleev, and this is also very early in his career. He's done a Crow miniseries and some Valiant fill-ins. And this is a Robin story. There's a guy trapped like way below some rubble, and he's like, he has some light that he has with him, but he's like, hopefully someone's gonna find me. And he kind of hears some rumbling up above ground, so he's like, ooh, they're finding me. And Robin has been able to hear someone essentially under the rubble, get some guys to help him move some stuff, and he finds someone, but it's someone else. And so they save this little girl, but this guy who was our focal character for most of the story is trapped underground and presumed to just die. And I liked this story. I mean, the final panel or whatever is haunting as hell.
Yeah, it's dark.
It's a very dark story.
Again, this just and I don't want to bring this up every time because it's fucked up to even bring it up. But like again, like imagine if this was like being published like August 2001. This would be so fucked, and they would have had to cancel this story.
I mean, yeah.
Like even this, I mean, Matt was saying like you can argue the repeated like rubble shots, destruction shots. You can argue that they're losing impact, but you could also look at it as like just the repeated impact is like it's just really digging in. Like this is really fucked up. That's probably
Well, I think
why I'm seeing it.
it really worked with it really worked with this little story. In other cases, not so much.
Is it because Robin? Is it because we know that it's Robin that's not
Yeah,
going to save him and not like a gang of thugs?
I think that's a large part of it. Yeah.
The next story, Love Me Two Times, story and art by Klaus Janson. It's a short story with Two-Face. We begin with Two-Face laying in some rubble and his thugs going, I think he's dead. And right before the earthquake, they were getting ready to hit a bank job and rob the bank. So the thugs are all wondering if they should cut him out, not save him, and they go with, "Oh, we're gonna cut him out and save him." And right as they're like winching him up to kill him, and right as the aftershock hits, Two-Face is able to get away, and they're trapped in the ditch, like Two-Face was. And then they're like, "Hey, will you save us?" And then he just flips for it, and presumably, the coin came up with the scarred side, so he's not going to be saving them.
Are these goons or are they cops or are they dirty cops?
They're goons. They're dressed up as cops because they're going to go rob a bank.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of fun too. Quick one.
Fine, quick one.
It's fine.
Kelly Puckett and Rick Burchett are next with Little Orphan Andy. A very different style from Rick Burchett I've seen. I know Rick Burchett from more of his kind of DC, I guess, kind of Bruce Timm style drawing, or like Ty Templeton-esque drawing. This is more realistic from the stuff I've seen from him on this, but it's basically just this kid who's surrounded by like all this destruction, and it won't be saved, and then Dr. Leslie Tompkins brings him a lunchbox with whatever version of DC's Thomas the Tank Engine is, and then he goes with her and he's saved. This was a nothing story. This was crap we need 2 pages to fill.
Leslie Tompkins is a named character.
Yes, she was Batman's kind of therapist when Bruce, like right after Bruce's parents were killed, and he like worked out problems with her. And she helped him.
Cool.
She runs a clinic, a medical clinic in the slums of Gotham, right by Crime Alley. So Batman checks on him from time to time. She doesn't approve of Batman's use of violence, and it gets to a point where it's comically stupid, where she fakes Stephanie Brown's death, because she doesn't want Batman indoctrinating children into fighting crime.
There are a lot of weird little Batman side characters. Like imagine if one of the characters in Spider-Man was Peter Parker's therapist he went to after Uncle Ben died. Like this is just it's so weird to me.
I mean, similar to Doc Samson, except not quite as.
No, not at all. Doc Samson has superpowers and is a character in his own right. This seems like a Batman's therapist is not a character I care about.
Well, I mean, you need.
Leslie Tompkins also not that interesting, especially with depending on how she's written, she'll just go on like these huge tirades, just lashing out at Batman for using violence and not liking the way his methods are. But and then, like I said, taken to the extremes in the War Games storyline, what she does with faking Stephanie Brown's death and then fleeing to Africa.
So Kelly Puckett used to be a Batman editor going back to like basically right post-crisis, but went freelance writing, most known for Batman Adventures, a lot of work with Rick Burchett, but also we're going to see more Kelly Puckett because he's the definitive and first writer on Cass Kane's ongoing Batgirl series, which will be near the very end of this podcast.
Okay.
And also back to the previous story, we're going to see more Two-Face throughout this story for sure.
Cool. I like that.
So to wrap things up, we have Nightwing 20, another issue from Dixon and McDaniel. Dick is in Gotham. He gets to the Watchtower thing or whatever. He busts down the door to make sure Barbara Gordon is all right. And they embrace. And these opening few pages I really, really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. I did also.
Yep.
Matt, are you shipping Dick and Babs already?
Also, he's not at the clock tower. He went to the Gotham City Police Department. That's where she's at.
Yeah.
Remember, the Watchtower got destroyed.
Yeah.
Based off of like the few pages I've seen of them, I do like them together. So.
Okay. You're not a Dick Corey fan?
Well, I've read there was a couple issues in Wade's Flash that I read where they showed up and they were presumably married, and well, I know you're shaking your head, but they said they were married in the book, and I don't know. I didn't care for them that much there, but I don't care for Starfire in general.
I much prefer Dick and Babs together.
Yeah, it's kind of an eternal debate between Batman fans and Titan fans, essentially. But it's worth noting that this ship only really works post-crisis because pre-crisis, Barbara is like 10 years older than Dick, but they would occasionally tease it pre-crisis, and fans back then would get mad because it's like, that's fucking weird. She's 10 years older than him.
Interesting.
Pre-crisis, Barbara Gordon was a senator, and Dick was wearing the short shorts still.
Yeah.
With no hair on his legs. But they embrace until Tim Drake interrupts them. So we've got a little Bat family reunion, and this is Tim Drake meeting Barbara Gordon in person for the first time ever.
I liked this.
I also liked that. That was a really sweet moment.
Yeah, it seems kind of crazy that it's this.
Yeah, I was like, wow, it took that long for like a physical face-to-face.
I mean, you have to consider, technically, I guess Tim's only been around like 10 years real time.
Yeah.
Because the whole Jason, Death, Tim is kind of compressed in the late 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
But even still,
I mean, Tim showed up in '89, so
yeah. And also Babs, like, because you have you had that awkward period of continuity where it's like, is Killing Joke canon? Is Killing Joke not canon?
yeah.
And then they eventually ran with it in Suicide Squad. And the Birds of Prey ongoing still isn't set up where we are. And so even though Babs had the backstory as Batgirl and everything, she doesn't really become like a super consistent member of the Bat family until just shortly before this, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's because she was in Suicide Squad and other stuff. So like to give a time frame on that, Killing Joke is '88. So
But nice little reunion and also first meeting, and none of them know what Batman's up to. All of them are kind of like, I thought you'd know.
yeah, well,
So
none of them have had contact with him yet.
So Dick and Tim, they go to the mansion, see the caved in, and Bruce, meanwhile, is super undercover as Detective Hawk of the GCPD,
I love this.
which I think this is the first time and probably only time he ever does this Detective Hawk thing, but it's similar to his super undercover Matches Malone type stuff.
Hmm.
But also, like, I mean, I guess because he's trying to work in this situation, he has to be so close to the GCPD that it's just easier to go this route. But it's like you could have done most of this just as Batman. It's kind of weird, but there's a cool moment where Gordon is like, "Oh, it's Batman."
Yeah, he's like, I'm usually good. He's like, who are you? I've never seen you before. He's like, I'm Detective Locke from the Safe and Lofts division. He's like, I'm usually good with faces, and it's like, I get it.
He usually works night shift,
Yep.
and what's happening is because of the earthquake, buildings are just collapsing on each other. So Bruce saves a shitload of people, and Tim breaks off from Dick to go check on his dad. His dad is totally fine. We get this moment of them hugging. None of us really reading the 50 issues of Robin before this, so I personally don't care about Tim's dad that much.
Yeah, why is this moment in Nightwing and not in Tim's own book? That's really weird.
Just
Because
threading it all together.
flirting with a loose. I mean, if you go even through Shadow in the back, I guess they're kind of floating a loose. The story continues in this issue, so like you're gonna get a little bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah, but like if I was reading Robin religiously at this point, I'd be a little upset.
No, yeah,
Well,
I understand that.
I guess
But
if I'm reading Robin, I'm probably in
it's
Nightwing also.
crossover that if you're reading Nightwing, you're probably reading Robin, and which means you're also probably reading the rest of this.
I guess.
That being said, as we go along, I feel like you could read some of these books in isolation. Like if you were a Catwoman fan, you could probably stick to Catwoman. Definitely.
Catwoman's the one that's the most like after like from the rest of these issues. I feel like I guess from the main ones because I'm not counting Shadow of the Bat because that's just another title that's or Detect like the Tekken Batman. Those are Batman books. Shadow of the Bat is a whatever we kind of feel like book. Catwoman is like the only other character book that I feel like is definitely the most removed from like the central what's going on.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find Azrael very removed as well. And I think you could probably get away with reading just Robin or Nightwing if you had zero interest in the rest of the event, but we will keep judging that as we go along. But Tim's dad is fine, and then Dick has a emotional moment in the Batcave about all his memories there and how much it means to Bruce, particularly. I thought that was a decent moment.
I like that.
And then Harold and Alfred show up, so they're fine, but they don't know where Batman is. And then Quakemaster delivers a tape to GCPD and threatens another quake.
This man is the least intimidating supervillain I've ever like. Look at that! Look at that guy. He looks like the Mole Man.
Yeah, but what if he did cause the earthquake?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming he's bluffing, and it was really Bane.
He is bluffing, but it's not Bane.
So tune in next time to learn more, hopefully, about the Quakemaster, and we will finish Cataclysm proper at least.
Yeah,
the
I'm
story.
excited to get Cataclysm finished and read because this is my second go around on it, and I honestly don't love Cataclysm a lot. I think it's all right. The earthquake happens and you get some kind of interesting stories. I'm gonna be much more interested when we get to the road to No Man's Land because that's where we have the stuff where Bruce Wayne goes to Washington D.C. I'm really like that's the stuff I hear like other than Bruce going to Washington, I don't hear hardly anyone else talk about the other Road to No Man's stuff, Road to No Man's Land stuff. So I'm very curious to check that part out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I got kind of bored reading the books for this episode. I'm just kind of excited to get out of the immediate aftermath of the earthquake and get into the story proper.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode. If this is your first episode, go watch the other two, and be on the lookout for the next one.
And well, with that, and if after you watch the other two, make sure to watch the 70 episode saga, the Clone Saga, because that's like required viewing before this.
It is. This is the sequel in all but name and kind of a name to Saga the Clone Saga. So, you got to keep up with our continuity.
Lots of in jokes.
So many in jokes. Man, remember O.J. Simpson?
Yes. Go check out O.J. Simpson. Comment below which episode of the Clone Saga we're talking about. Bye bye.